The camera opens on a buzzing America's Got Talent stage. The hosts have just finished their banter and the lights shift toward the center of the iconic AGT performance floor, where a young boy is standing alone under a single bright spotlight. The atmosphere is typical for AGT, excited murmurs from the audience, the judges engaging with the previous act's memories, but something unusual is already in the air. This is not the typical pop song audition. This moment feels different, an unexpected choice of song and a deep emotional undercurrent. The host introduces him simply, a Filipino kid with a powerful voice and a story that brought him all the way to this global stage. He holds a small folded Philippine flag in his hand, a symbol of his identity, pride, and the reason he chose the song he did. There's an immediate, tangible sense of curiosity and respect in the room. The audience quiets down slightly, sensing that they're about to witness something meaningful, not just entertaining. He doesn't open with a pop hit or an obvious crowd pleaser. Instead, he announces his intention to sing Lupang Hinirang, the Philippine national anthem, a song sung not for showmanship, but out of reverence and patriotism. For many people in the studio audience, predominantly American and international, this choice is unfamiliar and unexpected. Some judges glance at each other, curious about where this is going. There's a hush of respectful silence. The audience starts to realize this isn't a lighthearted audition. It's almost ceremonial. His eyes are calm but determined. His posture is straight, showing both pride and vulnerability at once. Those few seconds before he starts singing feel heavy, like everyone is collectively holding their breath, sensing the weight of what's about to be performed. The kid takes a breath, and softly begins the opening lines of Lupang Hinirang. Greater than, Bayang Majaliu. Perlas ing Silanganan. Alab ing Puso. Sa dibdib mo'y buhay. His voice starts steady, clear, and honest, not overly dramatic, but sincere, carrying the emotion of someone singing more for his heart than for applause. The notes are accurate, and though his voice isn't yet soaring, it's rich with feeling. Every chord of the anthem seems to echo deeper than just melody. It feels like he's singing for every Filipino far from home, and for the hopes and sacrifices of his own life. As he continues, something remarkable happens. The audience stops clapping, stops whispering, and even the judges stop taking notes. You can almost feel the room stilling, as if the anthem itself has halted casual chatter and replaced it with quiet admiration. There's a moment when the camera pans across the judges' panel. Simon Cowell, Sofia Vergara, Heidi Klum, and Howie Mandel are watching intently. None are bored or impatient, they're listening. This is crucial, because on a show like AGT, song choices are usually more mainstream pop, viral hits, or big show tunes. A national anthem, especially one unfamiliar to most in the studio, is a bold and surprising decision. At this point, a few Filipino Americans in the audience begin to stand, recognizing the anthem they've sung at sports events, school ceremonies, or family gatherings. You can see that sense of pride stirring, a ripple of emotional energy that gradually spreads across the crowd. The mood becomes less like a talent show and more like a shared cultural experience. Still, the room remains respectfully quiet, giving him full attention. The boy doesn't rush, he feels each line. His voice grows slightly stronger, more confident, and now you begin to hear the depth underneath the melody, not just the tune, but the significance. The words of the anthem are about love for one's country, resilience, and identity. And even for those who don't understand every Filipino lyric, the emotion transcends language, it resonates simply with the heart. Then comes the chorus, the heart of Lupang Hinirang. Greater than, Sa Manlulupig. Di ka pasasil. Here his voice elevates, not in volume alone but in emotion. You can tell he's giving his full self to this song. It's not just technique anymore, it's meaning. There's a slight tremor in his voice at one line, and that's when you can feel the audience leaning in more, not to judge, but to witness something heartfelt. At this moment, cameras shift between the boy and the judges. Simon Cowell, usually so composed and reserved, is watching like someone struck by sincerity. His expression is focused, almost introspective. You can see his eyes soften just a little, that rare moment when a performer's heart and story break through the polished broadcast persona and reach something deeper, human and universal. By the time the anthem reaches its final stanza, greater than, Ang mamate nong dahil sa, yo, the silence in the studio feels sacred. You almost hear the weight of the words, even if you don't understand the language. That line speaks of sacrifice if necessary for the beloved land. To the boy, this isn't just another performance, it's a tribute, a message of love for his home and family. When he finishes the last note, there is a moment of stillness. It feels almost like time paused. The judges sit silently for a beat longer, processing what they've just experienced. Then, slowly, genuinely, the audience begins to applaud. This isn't standard applause, it's respectful, emotional applause. Some are even clapping with visible pride. The boy stands quietly, waiting, humbly acknowledging the crowd's reaction. There's no showboating, just a gentle bow, like he's offering thanks, not expecting praise. Simon Cowell rises from his seat, a rare gesture on AGT, especially for a performance that wasn't a typical powerhouse pop audition. His body language is sincere, this is not scripted reality TV reaction. He walks toward the edge of the judges' table and, with a gentle tone, expresses how much the performance moved him. His voice carries an emotional weight we don't often see on this show. He speaks not about vocal acrobatics, auto-tune, or viral potential, but about heart, authenticity, and the courage of a young boy standing there singing a national anthem for his people on a global stage. This reveals what the performance truly tapped into. It wasn't about competition. It was about meaning and identity. And so this first scene ends not with a performance clip, but with a revelation. Talent can move beyond entertainment. It can touch the spirit and honor pride, culture, and belonging. This moment sets the tone for the rest of his AGT journey, not just as a singer, but as a symbol of pride and perseverance. The applause continues to roll through the theater, but it doesn't explode the way it usually does on America's Got Talent. Instead, it grows slowly, steadily, like a wave built from respect rather than excitement. The boy remains standing at center stage, hands gently clasped in front of him, eyes lowered just a little, not from fear, but from humility. He doesn't pump his fists or smile widely. He simply waits. The camera cuts to the judges' table. For a brief moment, no one speaks. This silence is rare on AGT. Judges are usually quick with comments, jokes, or dramatic reactions. But here, the energy is different. The performance has shifted the mood of the room. It feels heavier, in a good way, like everyone understands they've just witnessed something sincere and deeply personal. Simon Cowell is the first one the camera focuses on. He isn't leaning back in his chair, arms crossed, analyzing technique the way he often does. Instead, he's leaning forward, elbows resting on the table, hands loosely clasped. His expression is soft, thoughtful, almost vulnerable. His eyes glisten slightly under the stage lights. It's not exaggerated emotion. It's the quiet kind, the kind that surprises people who have watched Simon for years. Sofia Vergara breaks the silence first. She smiles warmly at the boy, her eyes bright. "That was beautiful," she says, her voice gentler than usual. "I didn't understand every word, but I felt it." She places her hand over her chest, emphasizing her point. "You sang with so much heart." The audience murmurs in agreement. Heidi Klum nods enthusiastically. "Yes," she adds. "You could feel your love for your country in every note. That takes courage, especially on a stage like this." She gestures toward the massive theater and the cameras. "Most kids would choose a big pop song. You chose something meaningful." Howie Mandel leans toward his microphone, his tone sincere. "I've seen thousands of auditions on this stage," he says, "and what makes something unforgettable isn't always how loud or how high the notes are. It's why you sing. And tonight, we all understood why." The boy listens carefully, nodding slightly after each comment. His eyes shine now, not from the spotlight, but from emotion. You can tell he didn't come here expecting praise like this. He came to honor something important to him, and suddenly, the world is honoring him back. Then the camera returns to Simon. He takes a breath before speaking. "You know," Simon begins slowly, his British accent softer than usual, "I've sat at this desk for a very long time. I've heard every kind of song you can imagine." He pauses, looking directly at the boy. "And what you just did, it wasn't about the competition." The room goes quiet again. "You weren't trying to impress us," Simon continues. "You weren't trying to show off. You were sharing something personal, something sacred to you. And that's incredibly rare." Simon clears his throat slightly, a small gesture that doesn't go unnoticed. When you started singing, he says, I didn't know the song. I didn't know the language. But I understood the emotion immediately. He taps his chest gently. That came from here. The audience applauds softly, not interrupting, but supporting the moment. Simon's voice grows more reflective. In a world where everything is fast, loud, and sometimes fake, that honesty is powerful. Especially coming from someone your age. He leans back briefly, then forward again, as if deciding whether to say what he's feeling. I'll be honest with you, he says. You moved me, truly. A visible reaction ripples through the audience. Some people gasp, others clap quietly. This is Simon Cowell, known for his blunt critiques, his high standards, his emotional restraint. And here he is, openly admitting that a young boy singing a national anthem touched him deeply. The boy swallows hard. His lips tremble slightly, but he remains composed. Why did you choose this song? Simon asks gently. The boy steps closer to the microphone. His voice is small compared to the huge theater, but it's steady. Because, he says, it reminds me of home. My family, my people. He pauses. I wanted to represent them on this stage. The crowd erupts into louder applause now. Simon nods slowly, absorbing the answer. You did, he says simply. You absolutely did. Sophia wipes at the corner of her eye and laughs softly. Great. Now you're making him emotional, she jokes, pointing at Simon, trying to lighten the mood. The audience chuckles, breaking the tension just enough. But Simon doesn't deflect. I'm okay with that, he replies, smiling faintly. Moments like this are why this show exists. The boy smiles for the first time, a small, genuine smile that shows relief and gratitude. You can see the weight lifting off his shoulders. Whatever happens next in the competition, this moment has already become something special. Howie leans in again. No matter what happens, he says, remember this. You made people feel